everyone and welcome back to my channel. This video is an assisted tutorial for my latest pattern, which is the Everly blanket. To find out more about this blanket and all the information, including the written pattern, head to my website bellacococrochet.com. I'll leave a link in the description box below. Just simply click that show more button and you'll have all of the information and the relevant links in there. For this tutorial, I have used Stylecraft Special DK in the colour white. I have also used Bo Peep Luxury Baby DK in the colour Lollipop, so that's what this blanket is made of. I've got some different colours here to show you the different types of ones that they do. This one is called Carousel, which is quite similar but a little bit different. And this one here is called Magic. I'm actually going to be using this one today because I think it will show up a little bit better on camera. I'm going to be using a 4mm crochet hook and a 3.5mm crochet hook. Please make sure that you check the pattern for the tension. You might need to go up or down a hook size, but that is what I'm using for this pattern. You'll also need a pair of scissors and a darning needle as well to sew in your ends. I'm going to assume here that you already know about Mosaic crochet. If you don't, then please check out the link in the description box, or I'll leave a card on the video here to take you to my inset Mosaic crochet tutorial, where it gives you some information all about how to read charts, how to actually do the stitch, and also gives you a practice square so that you can go ahead and do that and then come back to this video where you feel a little bit more confident in doing Mosaic crochet, because I will be speaking through a little bit quicker than if it was a basic tutorial. As always, if you like this video, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Also subscribe to my channel, click the bell button and enable all notifications so that you never miss a video. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to begin with our crochet hook, our 4mm crochet hook, and we're going to begin with colour A. So you are going to find the written instructions on my blog for this pattern, and also the printable PDF pattern, which is available at a low cost, does contain the chart for this as well. I will be putting parts of the chart on this video so that you can see what I'm referring to, but we're going to be starting off with row 1A and row 1B. So what we want to do here is begin by creating our slip knots. And this pattern is worked in multiples of 16 plus 3. So I'm going to demonstrate 2 sections of the pattern for you, so a pattern repeat of 2, whereas the blanket is actually a pattern repeat of 4. And what we want to do first of all is do those multiples of 16, so it's yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 chains. I'm going to go ahead and chain 32 plus the additional 3. So that's 35 in total. However, for the full pattern, you're going to chain 80 plus 3, so you have 83 chains in total. So pause the video, work those chains, and then meet me back in just a moment. So once you have your chain ready, we'll start with row 1A. So remember, with inset crochet, we're going to repeat 2 rows of the same colour. So row 1A, row 1B, row 2A, row 2B, etc. So we're going to do our first row, so row 1A. We're going to double crochet into the second chain from the hook, so not the one that's on the hook. This is 1 and 2. Now remember, this first double crochet of every row is always going to be the border, and the last double crochet of every row is going to be a border. So this is the border stitch, and then we have our pattern repeat. So this one is pretty simple. We're going to simply double crochet in each stitch all the way across until the end of your chain. So if you're doing the full blanket version, you will end up with 82 double crochets. For my version, I will end up with 34 double crochets. So go ahead, pause the video and work those double crochets and meet me back at the end of row 1A. So at the end of row 1A, we're going to chain up one and turn our work for row 1B. And we're simply going to do a double crochet into each stitch all the way along again. So for this, we're going to double crochet into the base of where that chain one is, because that does not count as a stitch. And that is our border stitch, and one double crochet into each stitch all the way along. So go ahead, pause the video, make sure that you count your stitches to make sure that you are on the right track for when we start our pattern repeats, because you don't want to get to that point and realise that you have not got the right amount of stitches. So go ahead, pause the video, work those double crochets and then meet me back at the end of this row. We are going to be changing colours, so meet me back once you have done your second to last stitch and I'll show you how we are going to change colours to colour B. Okay, so at the end of this row we're going to change colours in the last stitch. So we're going to insert our hook into that first stitch and yarn over and pull through. And then we're going to, instead of finishing off our double crochet here, we're going to go ahead and pull through the new colour, like so. Now there's no need here to tie off that colour A, because we're actually going to float that up. That's one of the benefits of inset crochet, that there's not many ends. So what we're going to do is chain one, turn our work. We're going to double crochet, which of course is single crochet in the US, into that first stitch. That's our border stitch, and then we have a pattern repeat. So for this pattern repeat, we're going to begin by doing 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And as we can see in the row details just here, after those 7 double crochets we have 2 zeros and 2 white spaces. So what that means is, if we look at the key, we want to chain 3 and miss 2 stitches. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and miss 2 stitches. So miss 1 and 2 stitches, and then we're going to continue with 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now because we're going to repeat the pattern, we're going to forget about the border stitch for now and start that pattern repeat again. So 7 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, miss 2 stitches and 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So for the full blanket you will repeat this pattern repeat 5 times, and then you would do your last stitch, which is in your border stitch. So we want to chain up 1, turn our work, and then we're going to move on to row 2B. So now for row 2B, we're going to work our way back. We're going to do that double crochet into the first stitch to create our border stitch, and then we have 7 double crochets again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now we have those 2 white spaces again with the zeros in, so we're going to chain 3 and miss this chain 3 space from before, and then do 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way across. So 7 double crochets, chain 3, miss the chain 3 space, and 7 double crochets. You'll do that until you have that last stitch remaining. So pause the video, work those stitches, and meet me back in just a moment. So once you're at the end of this row, we're going to change colours. So insert our hook into that last stitch, yarn over and pull through. Instead of yarning over and pulling through here, we're going to drop colour B, pick up colour A and float it up. So that means it's just connected to those rows. 2 rows down, float it up, make sure you're not pulling too tight or leaving it too loose. We're going to turn our work and chain 1. And now we're ready for row 3A. So for row 3A, we'll start with that double crochet in that first stitch to create our border stitches, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and now we have 3 grey blocks with zeros in. So this means that we're going to chain 4 and skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3 and 4, skip 3 stitches, and then we have 2 double crochets again, 1 and 2. Now we're going to do the drop down treble. So we're going to treble crochet in the missed stitch from 3 rows below. So the way that we do this is we're going to work into this stitch just here. And we'll be working a treble crochet, so that's a UK term. In the US this is known as double crochet. We'll be working in front of these chain 3 spaces. So we're going to yarn over, insert into that stitch from 3 rows down, yarn over, pull through, you'll have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, you'll have 2 loops on the hook, and yarn over, pull through 2, and that is our first one. We'll do that again, yarn over, insert the hook 2 rows down, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So we've done those drop down treble crochets just there. We then ignore this chain 3 space and we're going to do 2 double crochets into the next, or 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. We then have the 3 greyed out blocks, which with a 0 in, so we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, miss 3 stitches, 1, 2 and 3, and then work 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. So this is the point where we're going to do our pattern repeat. So you would repeat from that initial 2 double crochets after our border stitch for as many pattern repeats as you're doing. So if you're doing the full blanket, you would do this 4 more times. So go ahead, pause the video, work that repeat, and then meet me back when you have your final border stitch remaining. Okay, so you're going to do your last border stitch, chain up 1, turn the work, and then we're going to work row 3B. So for row 3B, we're going to go ahead and do our border stitch to begin with, and then work 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. We now have this chain 4 space. We're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, miss this chain 4, and then we're going to have 6 double crochets. So skip that chain 4 space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, skip that chain 4 space and 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and you're going to repeat that from the 2 double crochets after the border stitch until the very end of your work. So pause the video and then meet me back once you have your border stitch remaining. So at the end of this row, we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet in the last stitch, but we are going to change to colour B. So we're going to float that yarn up, and then we can chain 1 and we'll turn. But this is what it's looking like from the wrong side, and this is what it's looking like from the right side. So you can see that we're starting to develop this pattern here with these drop down treble crochets. So for row 4A, we are going to do our border stitch, and then we are going to do 1 double crochet. So this is the start of the pattern. Repeat 1 double crochet. We're going to chain 2 and miss 1 because that next stitch is a white square with a 0 in, and then we have 3 grey squares with X's in. So this is where we're going to do those drop down treble crochets. So we've chained 2, we'll miss this stitch, and then we'll go straight in to doing that treble crochet into that missed stitch from 3 rows down. So we have treble, treble and treble. We're then going to chain 3 and miss 2 stitches because we have 2 white spaces with zeros in. So chain 3, miss 2 spaces, so we're not counting these chains. Have 1 space and 2 space, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. We'll chain 3, miss 2 spaces, and then we have those 3 drop down treble crochets, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 2, miss 1 space, and then double crochet. And then you will start the pattern repeat from the beginning again. So double crochet, chain 2, miss 1, etc. So rewind the video if you need a reminder of how that works. Repeat it to the end of your row until you have 1 stitch remaining, and then meet me back when you're ready. At the end of row 4A, we're going to double crochet into that border stitch, chain up 1, turn our work and work a border stitch again. So for row B, we're going to double crochet, so this is the start of the repeat, double crochet, chain 2, and then skip that chain 2 space. We have 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, and then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and miss that chain 3 space, 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, miss the chain 3 space, and then 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, miss the chain 2 space, and double crochet. That is your pattern repeat that you're going to do all the way across. So pause the video, rewind if you need to, and then meet me back when you have one stitch remaining. So at the end of this row, we're going to change colour in that border stitch. So start off your double crochet, drop colour B and pick up colour A. Yarn over and pull through. Chain up one, turn our work and add our border double crochet. So for row 5A, we're going to start our pattern repeat with a double crochet. We then have a drop down treble crochet into that missed stitch 3 rows down. So go into the stitch. A little bit more tricky when it is just one stitch we're doing here, but just take your time doing that. We're going to chain 2 and miss a stitch, and then work 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. That should bring us up to this chain 3 space. So we have 2 drop down treble crochets to work here. So working into that missed stitch from 3 rows below, doing a treble crochet. So 1 and 2. And then we are going to chain 3 and miss 2 stitches. 1, 2, 3, miss 2 stitches, and then 2 drop down treble crochets. 1 and 2. We'll do 2 double crochets, 1, 2, chain 2, miss a stitch, and then drop down treble crochet. And then finally we have 1 double crochet into that last stitch to create our pattern repeat. So you can really start to see this pattern emerging here now. So go ahead, pause the video, rewind if you need to get the instructions for that repeat, but you want to repeat that to the end of your row until you have 1 stitch remaining for your border stitch, and then meet me back once you're ready. So at the end of this row, we're going to double crochet in our border stitch, chain up 1, turn our work, and double crochet in that first stitch for the border. So this is row 5B. We're going to work 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 2, skip the chain 2 space, and then we're going to work 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3 and 4, chain 3, miss the chain 3 space, and 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3 and 4, chain 2, miss the chain 2 space, and 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. And that is your pattern repeat, which you will repeat till the end until you have 1 stitch remaining. So pause the video and then meet me back once you're ready. So at the end of row 5B, we are going to do a double crochet into the last stitch, changing to colour B. Chain up 1 and turn the work for row 6A and double crochet for our border stitch. So for row 6A, we're going to start off with 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and then do a drop down treble crochet into that missed stitch 3 rows below. We're then going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and miss 2 stitches, 1, 2. We're going to do 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches after that, 1 and 2, and then we have 2 drop down treble crochets, 1 and 2. We've got 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, miss 2 stitches, and then a drop down treble crochet into that missed stitch, 3 rows down. Finish off with 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and there you have your pattern repeat. So go ahead, pause the video, keep repeating that repeat all the way across until you have 1 stitch remaining, and I'll meet you back in a moment. So at the end of this row, you're going to double crochet into that last stitch, turn our work and chain 1, and then work that double crochet in the border stitch. So for row 6B, we're going to start off with 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, chain 3 and miss that chain 3 space, and then we have 6 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip that chain 3 space and 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. So you will repeat that all the way across until you have 1 stitch remaining for your border stitch. So pause the video, work your way across, and then meet me back in a moment. At the end of row 6B, we're going to do our border stitch, changing colour to colour A. So float up that yarn, chain 1 and turn. So we'll do our border stitch to start us off, and then we'll start our pattern repeat for row 7A. So this is going to be 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 2 and miss a stitch. We're then going to do 2 drop down treble crochets, 1 and 2, followed by 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. We'll chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, miss 2 stitches and do 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. We then have 2 drop down treble crochets, 1 and 2, followed by a chain 2 and miss a stitch, 1, 2, miss a stitch and 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. So that is the pattern repeat for this row. Pause the video, work your way to the end until you have 1 stitch remaining, and then we'll move on to the next row. Okay, so we're going to do our double crochet border stitch in the end of this row, chain up 1 and turn our work for row 7B. We'll start as always with our border stitch, double crochet, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 2 and miss the chain 2 space, 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3 and 4, chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and miss the chain 3 space. 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3 and 4, chain 2 and miss the chain 2 space, and complete this repeat by working 2 double crochets. So there's the pattern repeat. Repeat that to the end until you have 1 stitch remaining, and then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so at the end of this row we're going to do our border stitch and change to colour B. So float that up, and now we're ready for row 8A. So chain 1, turn the work that border stitch, and we're ready for our pattern repeat. So for this we're going to do a double crochet, chain 2, and then drop down treble crochet. We have 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, miss 2, 1, 2, and then 2 drop down treble crochets, 1 and 2, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, miss 2, 1 and 2, and work 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. We have a drop down treble crochet, chain 2, miss a stitch, and then double crochet. And that is your pattern repeat for row 8A. So work that all the way along until you have 1 stitch remaining, and then meet me back once you're ready. So we're going to work our double crochet into that border stitch, chain up 1 and turn, work our border stitch, and then start off with a double crochet. So this is the beginning of the pattern repeat. Double crochet, chain 2, miss the chain 2 space, 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, chain 3, miss the chain 3 space, and 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 3, miss the chain 3 space, and 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, chain 2, miss the chain 2 space, and double crochet. So that is your pattern repeat for row 8B. Go ahead, work that all the way to the end until you have your last stitch remaining, which is your border stitch, and meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so at the end of row 8B, we're going to change to colour A on our last stitch, chain up 1, turn, work our border double crochet, and now we're ready for row 9A. So row 9A is going to be double crochet, drop down treble crochet, chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, miss 3 stitches, 1, 2 and 3, and then go straight into 2 drop down treble crochets, 1 and 2, 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, 2 drop down trebles, 1 and 2, chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, miss 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then a drop down treble. You're going to finish with a double crochet, and that is your pattern repeat for this row. So pause the video, work your way to your last stitch, repeating that pattern repeat, and then meet me back once you're ready. So we're going to double crochet into that final stitch of row 9A, turn our work and work our border stitch. Now we're going to do 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, miss that chain 4 space, and then we're going to double crochet in the next 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 4, skip the chain 4 space, and then 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and that's what you're going to repeat all the way to the end. Pause the video and then meet me back once you're ready. Once you get to the end of this row, we're going to do the double crochet in the last stitch, changing to colour B, chain up 1, turn our work, and we are ready for row 10A. Row 10A, we're going to double crochet in that first stitch for the border, and then we're going to start off with 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and then we have 3 drop down treble crochets, 1, 2 and 3, 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, miss 2 and 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, 3 drop down treble crochets, 1, 2 and 3, followed by 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and that completes our pattern repeat. So pause the video, work your way to the end, and then meet me back when you have your border stitch remaining. At the end of this row, we'll work our border stitch, chain 1 and turn, and for row 10B, we're going to do 7 double crochets. So we'll do our border stitch first, and then 7 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, miss the chain 3 space, and 7 double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So a really easy pattern repeat this time. Go ahead, work your way across until you have that 1 stitch remaining, and I'll meet you back for row 11A. So at the end of this row, we are going to do our double crochet, changing to colour A, and this is the last 2 rows. Row 11A and 11B are the last of the repeat. So we're going to chain up 1, turn our work and work that double crochet as the border stitch. And then we're going to work 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. 2 drop down treble crochets. 1 and 2, and then 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So you'll repeat that all the way across until you get to your last stitch. So pause the video and then meet me back once you're ready. So at the end of this row, we're going to do our double crochet for our border stitch, chain 1 and turn, and this row is super easy. We're going to do 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way across. So go ahead, pause the video, work your way all the way across, and then meet me back and I'll tell you the instructions for the rest of the blanket. Okay, so let's now take a look at what we have done already. I did 2 repeats of the pattern, and you can see that the pattern actually has 5 of those repeats, and it is also repeated again for another row. So what you do at your at this stage, at the end of row 11 B, you change to colour B again, and then you start again from row 2A. So that will create this pattern repeat that we have going on here. I'm now going to show you what you do after that, which is move on to this section here, which is extended double crochet. So I would suggest that you do drop down a hook size for this section because it does tend to be a little bit more stretchy. It creates a beautiful pattern, but because this is a little bit less stretchy, we want to kind of keep everything in line. So I'm going to drop down my hook size to a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. So inserting that, so we'll just imagine that we have done a second lot of this pattern repeat, and we're going to chain up 1. And now we're going to start the extended double crochet. So for our extended double crochet, which is extended single crochet in the US, we're going to insert our hook into that very first stitch and yarn over and pull through. You'll have 2 loops on the hook. At this point you want to yarn over and just pull through that first loop, and you'll still have 2 loops on your hook, and then yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook. So I'll just show you that again. Into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. And you're going to continue in this way all the way across your row. So if you are doing the full blanket, you will again have those 82 stitches in your row, so that your stitch count won't change. You're simply going to work this all the way across until your last stitch. So go ahead, work that, and then meet me back and I'll show you just how to chain up and then move on to the next row. But we're going to be doing this row for 22 rows in total. So pause the video, meet me back at the end of the row, and I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so once you have come to the end of your row of your extended double crochet, you're going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, turn your work, and then you're going to work into that very first stitch of the row with your extended double crochet. So as I say, you're going to work this for 22 rows. So you want to go ahead and pause the video, work those stitches. I'm going to build a few more rows so that you can start to see what it looks like, and then give you instructions on the next step of your blanket. Okay, so this is what those extended double crochets are looking like. It kind of creates a subtle herringbone look. You can probably see it better just here. But it looks really pretty, and it just gives a little bit something extra to the blanket. Now once you have done those 22 rows of that extended double crochet, you are then going to repeat rows 1A to 11B once more, so this whole section, and then repeat rows 2A to 11B, which is from here upwards again, so that you have the second set of repeats on the opposite side. So this is an envelope border which consists of 2 separate sections to it, so it's a really nice thick border which just gives a gorgeous finish to a blanket. So I'm going to leave a link to the video where I talk about the envelope border and how to do it. In that particular video I use a treble crochet, however the only difference here is I have used a half treble crochet. So you can go ahead and watch that in order to work your border. I have used the colour B to do the first section of the border, a round of double crochet for colour A, and then 2 rows of half treble crochet to finish off, and then it's this slip stitch edge. I will leave all the details on the blog post so that you can go and check that out, and then watch the corresponding video tutorial for how to do the envelope border. But there we have the assistant tutorial for the Everly blanket. I really hope that you have enjoyed watching it. Please make sure that you do tag me on Instagram and on Facebook if you give this a go. I would absolutely love to see your makes. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Also subscribe to my channel, click the bell button and enable all notifications so that you never miss a video. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you again next time. Bye!